family? Brother Olive Charlotte in the building with the Sons of Zion Baltimore camp. Another Sabbath day teaching, another Sabbath day lesson. Beautiful day out here on the Sabbath day to talk about Thanksgiving, man. Talk about Thanksgiving, man. You understand that? So we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving and why God does not condone Thanksgiving. Why God does not condone eating at the table of Thanksgiving, celebrating Thanksgiving. Why the Bible goes against Thanksgiving. And generally you would think that this is common sense, but guess what? Common sense ain't common. And guess what? Our people were raised to think opposite. So it's not just common sense, man. Our people were raised to think opposite. Our people never did the intense research on the scriptures and the intense research on the history to think about it. I mean, I was just raised to throw on a nice fit, throw it on, and go to eat the turkey and the dressing and all that other stuff, man. So we're at a point in time now where information and resources are available for us to research the history of these things that we are doing. We are able to research the history of Thanksgiving. We are able to research the history of Christmas. We are research the history of New Year's and things of that nature, man. This is all a part of coming out of the world and repenting and coming back to the ways and the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of the Most High God. So this video is going to be talking about do not eat Thanksgiving. Do not go to Popeyes and get the Cajun turkey and put it on the table, man. Do not go and eat Thanksgiving. Do not eat Thanksgiving, man. So that's what today's video is going to be on. So we're going to start off with the book of Numbers, chapter 25 and verse number 1. So before I read this, the title of my breakdown that I write on my paper is called, the Feast is a Part of the Sacrifice. Right? The feast is a part of the sacrifice. So let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 25, verse 1. Book of Numbers, chapter 25, and verse 1. It says, and Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods. So Israel abode in Shittim, and they began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. So this is not only talking about physical laying down and mingling with the daughters of Moab. It's also talking about spiritual. It's the same reason why Solomon in the book of 1 Kings chapter 11, the reason why it wasn't positive, it wasn't good for him to have all these wives is because they would eventually remove his heart from following the Most High God to follow the gods of the of idols, or to follow the gods of the other nations. So in Numbers chapter 25 verse 1, Israel is committing whoredom and mingling themselves with the philosophies and the doctrines of the daughters of Moab. Let's read on. It says, and they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods, and the people did eat and bowed down to their gods. So historically, it is known as when you want to worship a god, you would prepare a feast, right? You would have a table. People would make feasts and dinners and offerings to their god. We did that in righteousness. Ancient Israel, we would prepare offerings and sacrifice a drink offering, a meat offering, and animals, a turtle dove, and things of that nature, a fat calf. We would prepare animals and prepare meat and drink offerings to deliver up to our God in righteousness, man. So a way to honor a God or a way to commemorate a doing, a God, an idol, a deity, an entity, is by having a feast. Verse number 3. And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. So what was the action of Israel? The action of Israel was just going to eat a meal with the people of Moab. Hey, guess what? These people over here, they cool. Hey, guess what? These people over here, they cool. They make the nice chicken and rice. They make the nice chicken and rice and stuff like that. Hey, guess what? Let's just go eat with them. But guess what? This is them sacrificing unto their God. Verse 4, it says, Anger of the Lord was kindled hot. The Lord was angry because of this. Verse 4, and the Lord said unto Moses, take all the heads of the people and hang them up before the Lord against the sun, that the fierce anger of the Lord may be turned away from Israel. Right, so the only way to rectify that was to hang these men's head up, right? Chop their head off and hang it up before the Lord. Right, that's true anger. The Lord was angry because we decided to go and eat with these other nations. And because we decided to go and join ourselves to these other nations' philosophies, ideologies, and doctrines and things of that nature, man. The Lord gets angry when we go and we join ourselves to the idols of the other nations. The Lord's going to get mad. The Lord is angry and mad that we join ourselves to the philosophies of the so-called white man, of the so-called Asian man, of the so-called Arabian and Assyrian man. The Lord gets angry with that, and there it is in scriptures in Numbers chapter 25, verse 1, right? Let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 65. Let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 65, verse 1. I am sought of them that ask not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me unto a nation that was not called by my name. I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people. Right, so God has spread out his hands all the day to a rebellious people. That's us. Our people are rebellious, man. It says, which walketh in a way that was not good after their own thoughts. After their own thoughts. I bring that up to say this. And guess what? People try to condone Thanksgiving by, because listen, there's no possible way you will look up the history of Thanksgiving and think it's okay to, and righteous with God to do it. No possible way. So our people will, hey, guess what? This is just a day that we're off for work. We're just gonna choose to have family time on this day. You understand that? That's what people do, man. People will say, hey, guess what? This is just a day we're off of work, so we're gonna keep this custom, right? People will say, okay, this is the day we're off of work, and we're gonna eat the turkey, we're gonna eat the mac and cheese, we're gonna eat the stuffing, we're gonna eat the plate, we're gonna eat the meal, we're gonna eat the sacrifices that's only prepared on this day every year. But at the same time, I'm not guilty of Thanksgiving. No, man, that makes no sense. That's confusion, and that's a lie. That's believing a lie. That is a lie. That is not true. That is our people doing what? That's our people going after their own thoughts. Let me read that verse one more time. It says, I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that was not good after their own thoughts. No, it's not good, man. Our people, we have our own customs. We have our own feast days. We have our own holy days, holidays. We have our own heritage that we can go back to. We don't have to join ourselves to something that's not good. Thanksgiving is not good. The history of it is not good, man. It's not good. It's not good. You can't go after your own thoughts and join yourself unto that. And I mean, bro, all you gotta do is go and look it up. Look up the history of this day and this feast that we call Thanksgiving. Why then would we join ourselves to that, man? Especially with the last video I uploaded being as though, and guess what? The people that they took from, hey, how you doing, family? May I ask y'all a quick question? All right, so that why would, being as this last video, we understand that we are the same as Hispanic people and things of that nature. You follow that? Our people and their people are the exact same people. They're known as the Northern Kingdom of Israel. We are the Southern. We are all Israel, man. We are all Israelites. Hispanic, Latinos, Black, Brown, Hispanics, we West Indians, Native Americans. We are all known as Israelites. So being as though that the so-called white man did that to our people, why would we then go and join ourselves to that custom? Why would we just go and join ourselves to that feast day, man? That is a total slap in the face and disrespect to our own people, right? So let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 35 and verse number 14. Book of Genesis chapter 35 and verse number 14. It says, and Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he talked with him, even a pillar of stone. And he poured a drink offering thereon, and he poured oil thereon. And Jacob called the name of the place where God spake with him Bethel. Right, so this goes to show you that, guess what? Hey, how you doing, brother? You mind if I ask you a quick question real quick? Let me ask you a question. Do you partake in Thanksgiving? You do, right? Are you familiar with the history of Thanksgiving? You're not familiar with the history of Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving started as a feast day or a feast that commemorated the so-called white man conquering the Native Americans and the Hispanics that were over here on this side of the world. So because they took all of their turkeys and they took all of their crops and their land mass and things of that nature, they took all of these things and they prepared a feast for themselves, commemorating them conquering this new land. You know, when Christopher Columbus came over here on this side of the earth, it was something that was made him happy. It was something that was highly esteemed. So a thief. He's a thief. Exactly. So you know that Christopher Columbus would be a thief because the people that was already here, he colonized and took it from them. So that is synonymous with the history of Thanksgiving. Right. So I understand you didn't know that prior, but you were able to research that. You got a computer or a phone, you were able to research this on your own. Now let me ask you a question. Let's say, I know you probably got to do your own research and everything like that, right? But let's say that that's you go and you find that to be true. Would it be okay in the eyes of God to go and celebrate Thanksgiving after learning that? It wouldn't be, right? So, brother, what I'm going to tell you is that I want to behoove you to go and do research on the history of Thanksgiving and separate ourselves from what the world has said was cool and actually go and do our own research. You follow? You mind if I read a scripture to you real quick? Alright, I appreciate it. I'm going to go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse number 37. Because there's one more thing I would like to share about the history of Latinos and Hispanics being synonymous with ours. So let's read this in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse number 31. It says, "Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them." This is something that the Native Americans and Hispanics went through before prior to Christopher Columbus coming over there. He was stealing their oxen, stealing their sheep, stealing their cattle, their asses, stealing everything. I'm gonna read on. Verse 32. "Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand." Now that sounds and that is very similar to our history and what we went through here in America, being slaves. We would raise up our children, and they would take our children and sell them to a different plantation, and there would be nothing we could do about it. So now you can see about how our history and Native American and Hispanic history is synonymous, very close. Right, they agree. Follow?
But I know I just go around family members and stuff on Thanksgiving and stuff. I'm not even going this year because I'm from Virginia and I'm not even going, because I know, I do have some idea, niggas want to. My name is Fred, man.
Okay, nice to meet you. I'm Hollis Shot. I appreciate that. So, before you leave, I'm saying one more thing, and I'm going to give you some literature that you can take on your way. Information that you can research and stuff like that. Right? So, to ask you one question, right? So, we're reading the Bible. So, the Bible is written to what people? What is it about? What people is it about?
Everybody again.
Moses freed who from Egypt? What people? Israel, Israelites, right? So if we're reading in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, right? This is after Exodus. Remember, in the book of Exodus, we read about how the Israelites was exited out of Egypt. So in Deuteronomy 28, this is a future prophecy of Moses saying what will happen to the children of Israel. So we're reading this, and it's lining up to what we went through. Well, that will make us what? These people that we're reading about. Like you just said, this was synonymous with our history, right? So that's how we are able to come to the conclusion that we know that we are Israelites. We can't classify ourselves as black people because our skin is not black, it's brown. Black is just a color. There's no landmass called black. There's no language of black. We can't consider ourselves African American. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you? 73. In the 1980s is when the term African American became popular and known. Before there was African American, what was it? Black. And what's the N word? Negro. Right? That's what it was, man. There was no African American. So this is a term that's recently created, and it doesn't make sense. Just because it picked us up from Africa and put us here in America. By citizenship, we will be African American. For our God-given nationality, we will be Israelite. So on this flyer, these are scriptures that you can read, and this is physical things that we are commanded to do. These are laws given to us by God. There's just a few of them, some that you can start as soon as you're able to. So these right here is QR codes. So when you pull up your phone, you pull up the camera, you put your camera on the QR code, and then it'll pull up the YouTube channels and stuff like that where you can learn more information on the topic. No problem. What's that mean, friend?
Right on the one before me.
Right. It makes perfect sense, man. It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Right? It makes perfect sense. Now we're going to go back to where we left off at, man. In the book of 2 Thessalonians. Right, and with that being said, now that y'all heard that, being as though that we're Israelites, man, we have a custom and a heritage that we can go back to. So let's go to that in the book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2 and verse number 15. It says, therefore, brethren, stand fast and hold on 1 second. I'm going to start at 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2 and verse number 13. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 13. But we are bound to give thanks always to God for you, brethren, beloved of the Lord, because God hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and believeth of the truth, whereunto he called you by our gospel to the obtaining of the glory of our Lord Yahushua, also known as Jesus Christ. Verse 15, therefore, brethren, stand fast and hold the traditions which ye have been taught, whether by word or by epistle. Whether by word or by epistle. Paul told the men of the church of Thessalonica, hey, guess what? Hold on to traditions which ye have been taught, whether by word or by epistle, man. Right? Let me read on. It says, now our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach himself and God, even our Father, which have loved us and have given us everlasting consolation and good hope through grace, comfort your hearts and establish you in every good word and work, man. Right? So these traditions that we can hold on to come from the word. It comes from the scriptures. It says by word or by epistle. We have the epistles. Epistle is the letters that Paul wrote to the churches. And in particular, we're reading about the church of Thessalonica. So we can read about the traditions that our people had in the Bible, man. In the epistles, in the prophets, in the law. We can read about it here. You understand that? We don't have to only take what we have gotten from our biological fathers and grandfathers and things of that nature. Why? Because these things have been corrupted. Because we have been taught lies. It's just the truth of the matter, man. And it's okay. It's okay. We have been taught lies, and we have been living in a lie for generations on generations on generations. That is just the reality of the matter. We have been taught and living in lies. Resources have been restricted from our people to where we have no option but to believe a lie. It is what it is. So therefore, the traditions and the heritage and the customs that we can keep and that we can practice can come from the Bible by way of Paul, prophets, and all of the righteous men of the Most High God. Let's go to the book of Colossians, chapter 2, verse 8. Colossians, chapter 2, and verse number 8. It's getting cold out here. Colossians 2 and 8 says, beware, lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. Right? So don't let men spoil you after the traditions of men, the rudiments of the world, not after Christ. The traditions of men and the rudiments of the world is Thanksgiving, Christmas, holidays, Halloween. This is the traditions of men and the rudiments of the world. That's the traditions of the so-called white man. That's the man, right? Our people know him as the man, right? I work for the man. Well, I'm gonna go clock in for the man. Our people do that, man. Don't come out of that. Come out of their traditions and their rudiments of the world, and keep our traditions and rudiments after Christ, right? The rudiments of the world and the traditions of men is not after Christ, man, right? Because remember, Christ kept the law, right? Christ kept the traditions of our forefathers in the Bible by way of the scriptures, right? So let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse number 20, right? And this video is not going to be long, because it's not hard and it shouldn't be hard to understand why we cannot celebrate Thanksgiving, though it's gonna be hard not being there, man. Because me personally, I dearly love my family. I dearly love my family. My family that's here in Maryland, my family that's in South Carolina, and my family that's all over the world. I dearly love my family. So yes, it is hard and it is difficult to tell them, no, I will not be coming out to Thanksgiving. No, I will not be there in attendance to this gathering. No, I will not be eating that meal. Yes, sometimes it is difficult. It is heartbreaking. And yes, it is an opposing mindset and ideology. But it's what have to be done. I'd rather lead by example. I'd rather lead by being a light unto our people. Hey, every time you're trying to do what's right, every time you're trying to be a light, every time you're trying to be an example, it's not always going to come off as something positive. Sometimes you have to go against the grain to teach somebody a lesson. Sometimes you have to go against the grain so people can learn the truth, right? The truth hurts. Paul said in the book of Galatians chapter 4 verse 16, have I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? The truth is not always something that's going to be something that's easily entreated, right? In the book of Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1, it's going to tell you that wisdom is going to deal with you in partiality, roughly paraphrasing when you read the whole chapter, man. Wisdom is not something that's going to be easily given to you, something that's not easily treated and dealt with, man. The truth is not always going to be an easy reality to face, man. So yes, it's hard to tell my family, hey, guess what? No, I'm not. There's other people out here that say forget their family, man, but I'm not one of those people. I dearly and I love these people. That's why I come out here and do these videos in hopes so y'all can understand why this is not a righteous thing according to God, right? It's not a righteous thing according to God. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 20. It says, but I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. Ye cannot drink of the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and the table of devils. Right, so it's kind of like a simile. The Lord said you can't drink of the cup of devils and drink of the cup of the Lord, man. Right? So you can't partake in the rudiments and the philosophies of this world and also partake in the rudiments and the philosophies of the Lord. You understand that? That's not how it goes, man. That's not in the scriptures. The scriptures do not back up that philosophy. That ideology is not scriptural, man. The scriptures tell us to keep the laws, the commandments, and the statutes of God. That's why we have the book of Leviticus chapter 23. It's going to tell you all of the feast days and the holy days and the traditions that you're able to keep that God gave you. It's a God-given heritage that we have. We don't have to keep the heritage of the so-called white man. So we can't drink of the cup of these devils and then drink of the cup of the Lord, man. You cannot pray over pork. You cannot pray over sin. You cannot pray sin. You cannot pray, go and sin, and expect your sin to be instantly forgiven. You understand that? That is not scriptural. That is not righteousness. that the scripture do not back that ideology up, like I just said. Right? Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 2 and verse number 20. Revelation, chapter 2, verse 20. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication, and to eat things sacrificed to idols. Right? So fornication is not only a physical thing. Fornication can be a spiritual thing. Fornication will be leaving the truth to go and deal with the ideologies and philosophies any elsewhere, right? That's me mingling myself with the world, right? That's spiritual fornication. And it also said eat things sacrificed to idols, right? If you have a group of people getting together to eat a meal with the mindset that this, you know what I'm saying, that we really shouldn't be doing this, or the mindset that this is not commemorating that, or this is not that, and things of that nature, people are holding an idol before the Most High God. People are holding their own opinion before the words of the Lord. People are holding their own ideology before the words of the Lord. That is an idol. You're holding yourself as an idol. You're holding your parents, your cousins, your sisters, your brothers as idols before the Lord. And the Lord said you have to forsake your mother. You have to be willing to forsake your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your cousin, and for my sake. You have to be willing to forsake those things for the words of the Lord. Now, does that mean I treat them a certain way? No. Does that mean I hate them? No. But guess what? I am willing to sacrifice the things around me in hopes to live a righteous lifestyle according to the Most High God. And that translates into reality. And guess what? I am willing to tell my family, no, I will not be in attendance at Thanksgiving. No, I will not be in attendance at Easter. No, I will not be in attendance at Christmas. Right? That's how that translates into that. I will not love the rudiments of this world and my family more than I love the Lord by way of the words of Christ. You understand that? That woman Jezebel suffered in our people to eat things sacrificed to idols, because we will hold other things as an idol before the Most High God, man. So I'm gonna close out with the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50 and verse number 6, because this is the biggest issue when it comes to Thanksgiving, right? This is the biggest issue when it comes to Thanksgiving. Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse number 6. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. Right? So our people have been taught by shepherds to not obey the words of the Lord. It's not directly, don't listen to James 1 in this. It's not directly. Our people have been taught to, hey, guess what? It's okay to do this, that, and the third, and to not acknowledge the words of the Lord by your Sunday pastors and by tradition. Because pastors that teach on the Sunday church, guess what? This is just a religion and a philosophy and a mindset, a thing that they get that was passed down in tradition, man. That's how it goes. Our people that believe in Christianity, Catholicism, Islam, they get these teachings and things like that from things that were passed down from generation to generation. That's why it's been cool to do Thanksgiving for generations and things of that nature. But we have to come out of the world. We have to come out of those wicked traditions and things of that nature and come back to the words of the living God and the traditions of our forefathers. Shalom.